Testing. Kyle here from All Media Reviews, here to do another react to a Spotify list. And I was just doing a little more research in the video I posted yesterday about Rush. I wasn't looking at artists, I was looking at like individuals. But these two parts of the Google search I didn't look at yesterday tell more. Stats for Spotify ranks your top. No, that's not it. How does Spotify calculate artists' popular songs? The popularity of a track is a value between 0 and 100, and with 100 being the most popular. Popularity is calculated by an algorithm and is based on the most part on the total number of plays the track has had, how recent those plays are. So recency really does factor into what shows up on those top 10 list of songs. Just Spotify, where is it? How does know if a song is popular? Yeah, yeah. That's one explanation. I was gonna actually. It was like a Spotify um, website, like a community. There was something. 5 songs of it. Yeah, this one right here. The info I found is that the songs that appear under popular on a Spotify artist page are automatically updated every 24 hours and ranked based on their number of all-time streams and their number of recent streams. So it really, I mean, that's the algorithm. Whether this is it's the algorithm is more or less taking into account. If there are any replies here, um, both recency and frequency, not fully frequency. It's a little bit how Rate Your Music does their charts, um, but yeah, I don't know. I still could go for more information and research. This is back to 2018, so this is 5 years ago. So, all right, I'm gonna do Genesis, the top 10 songs from Genesis in this video. This is labeled, and I hope I remember to say millions and not thousands. It's easy to slip up. I did that in the Rush video and the Dream Theater and Marillion videos as well. So okay, so number one, well, I want to make sure this all gets in here too. Let me just look at the whole list here. So, yeah, all right, looking at this. So, my suspicion was it was going to be mostly songs from the 80s albums, specifically 3 albums, really. Two or three, or 80s and 90s. The post Duke or at least post and then there were 3, but post Duke or post Abacab albums, the big ones, the Mama album um, and Invisible Touch especially. So Invisible Touch is number one with 232 million streams. All right, I get that. It is probably the most played song in Genesis catalog. It's pretty sad, but it's true. Um, Number 2, I got my cat playing here. There you go. That's all from the Mama, the self-titled album, or Shapes. 155 million. So that one's got 80 million less, but still, that is a pretty much a standard. Like, think of that as a country song. That's classic rock and class 80s pop. It's not even classic rock. It's 80s pop and adult contemporary. But it has like a country tinge to it. I've always felt. But number 3 is I Can't Dance. That one, I mean, the first 2 I understand. Well, I Can't Dance got a lot of like exposure, and it promoted the We Can't Dance album when it came out in '91. Even though I wasn't really a fan, I heard about it. So, 3 white guys who can't dance. That whole the video, they're walking and stuff. But in that walk, that's at 144 million, which is only 11 million behind. That's all. Again, I'm starting to think that this is like your parents, playlist, or your parents, in the car easy listening kind of thing. That's where they're getting. It's like, oh, go on to Spotify and teaching your kids, oh, that band Genesis. Yeah, Phil Collins. I Can't Dance. They had that song I Can't Dance, right? Okay, so Follow You, Follow Me is number 4. All right, at least it's something from the 70s. It's past the point that Steve Hackett had left, but at 85 million streams. I guess I like this song, and I can understand why it would be on this list. I'm actually a little surprised it's higher up. And again, now thinking about the algorithm and recency, so maybe it's because it's recently got one of the kitties, the gatos here, saying hello to the camera. But so, all right. So then you go down next, Land of Confusion. See, I would definitely not expect Follow You, Follow Me, and I Can't Dance to have more streams than Land of Confusion, 121 million. Um, again, it's from Invisible Touch, the whatever it was, multi-platinum album, the biggest album in their career from in '86. Throwing It All Away again from that same album. Not That's one of the about several songs I've always found is a song that sounds like a Phil Collins song, but it's Genesis, and there's some Phil Collins song that's vice versa or whatever. Um, so I'm getting like an adult contemporary kind of 80s Genesis perception, just because of Invisible Touch, and Phil Collins. So then Jesus, He Knows Me from We Can't Dance. Yeah, that's probably the second most well-known song, and that's the one they did the video for. The other one they did the video for on We Can't Dance. So that's at 77 million. Now again, so why is Throwing It All Away 38 million and Jesus He Knows Me 77? Why is Throwing It All Away ahead of it? Based on that comment, the algorithm, it's because it's been played more recently, I guess. I guess that's the bias, and that's the explanation we can understand. I mean, based on that, of course, I mentioned in the first video, one of those first two videos that a few months ago when I started making these, that it would be worth trying them again, like revisiting these lists again if there's a change, just because of that. It's supposedly, although I would be kind of surprised with bands like Rush and Genesis and some of the other bands I'm going to look at here, there'll be a dramatic difference just because of the numbers. But it would be nice if they had an algorithm or like a regular, like a updated, like a recent algorithm, like the most popular 10 tracks in the last 6 months, the last month, would be more interesting. Like Kate Bush, of course, before Running Up That Hill back in whenever that was, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2022. I would guess Running Up That Hill wasn't her. I get like Wuthering Heights or something else would have been her number ones, but Running Up That Hill is probably, skunked. It's lapped all her other songs multiple times, but if you were looking at just recency, so In Too Deep, again, another song that sounds like a Phil Collins song's off Invisible Touch in a lot of ways at number 8, and then that one still has more streams than Throwing It All Away. I mean, I'm not totally surprised because Throwing It All Away is one of those pop hits that you hear. It's not an unknown song. So, Hold On My Heart, that one's lesser known. I'm actually impressed that it even has 45 million streams from We Can't Dance. And then Misunderstanding at 28 million streams is number 10. Yeah, unfortunately, this is a classic case of, that I kind of figured I should probably like Follow You, Follow Me. Someone like goes to an artist that doesn't know the band, and they just get the stuff that it's hiding. It's not exposing, giving the opportunity to hear a lot of music in their top 10 songs, their biggest tracks. What they actually were about. Obviously, I'm alluding to both the Peter Gabriel, any of the songs from the Peter Gabriel era, and even the era that after Peter left, when Steve Hackett was still in the band. Those 2 albums and 1 EP. I wouldn't expect the Spot the Pigeon stuff to show up on here, but maybe something off of Wind and Weather, and especially Trick of the Tail, or even the live stuff. I mean, live stuff isn't that popular, but it's yeah. I mean, obviously you could have had songs like Carpet Crawlers or I Know What I Like from a pop standpoint, or Musical Box, or the title track to The Lamb Lies Down Broadway, among many others. And again, I that's part of the reason why I tried this. I thought about doing this is because I'm just, like Professor Rock talks about streams for these singles and stuff, and I'm curious just on Spotify. And again, Spotify's not the be-all, end-all gauge of listenership, although it's among streaming services, it's very likely the most popular, and it's the closest thing we have to sort of a gauge on radio. It's more used than YouTube and YouTube videos, the music videos on YouTube. It's more used than iTunes or Apple Music. It's, so it's the closest thing. But it would be interesting to understand like how much of the Gabriel songs are what the numbers are by the comparison. That I guess that's what I might do after I kind of continue. If I'm going to continue to go through these, is that I may do some other research beforehand to compare. Maybe take some screenshots or something. I'm not sure. Because it would be good to know where some of those songs that like people like myself who really favor the Gabriel stuff and even the stuff before I would say before Abacab because I really love the Duke album. There's Duke Travels. I don't know. I'd be curious on how many streams those songs have by comparison. I wouldn't expect any of them to be like Supper's Ready. How many does that have? And again, I think you could find that information, but because you go on here and you look at their discography, you look at like albums, and like, does it have? Let's just see here. I thought that there was something in here that showed actual like statistics on each song. I thought there was a way to actually find it, and I could be wrong, but because you're looking at like the Gabriel stuff, like I know what I like. That's a pop bang. That was a pop song. But it doesn't go to song radio. No, go to artist. Show credits. I don't know if show credits even. Yeah. But this doesn't. What I want to know is the number. Like if I click on it, the actual track. Oh, here it is. I forgot about that. I did look this up. So there you go. So maybe not for this one, but going forward, and again, I may look at this stuff again. Well, let's look at a couple of. This is at 14,237. So the lowest was like what was it? Misunderstanding off of Duke, and that was at like what was it? 28,000. So about half. So I mean that tells you. So all right, go back to the catalog here and just curious out of some of the other songs, like how many, like Musical Box, how many streams does Musical Box have? That has only 5 million. Wow. So and Supper's Ready, then and again, part of it could be the mix too, the versions. That's part of the whole like kind of not flaw, but grain of salt you have to factor in here. This has 6.5 million streams. So, all right, that's starting to kind of explain some stuff about like the numbers and stuff like that. Like, yeah, like the title track to or how about Carpet Crawlers? Because that actually got some airplay. That's at 14.97 million. So I mean it's a lot, but I mean, again, the Phil stuff is it's dwarfing it. The title track, it's at 9.1 million. Yeah, I mean, then the early Phil stuff like Dance on a Volcano or Squonk. Let's just see, Dance on a Volcano, 5.6. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, like a lot of the stuff that so it is somewhat accurate, even though it has a recency bias. Like I said, like even the live stuff, I don't know if the live stuff would have as much. People don't lean to like Firth the Fifth. Yeah, I was curious about Firth the Fifth, 1.4. Looking at this, not Undertow. I mean, Misunderstanding was the biggest hit on Duke, but like, yeah, like I said, I favor Duke Travels. That's only got 1.6. Not Behind the Lines. Turn It On Again. That's a pretty massive. See, that's at 32 million. So I finally found one. All right. So this again, the remaster or whatever. That's at 32 million. So if they were actually taking sheer numbers, that song would have at least passed up Misunderstanding, actually. Because, I mean, while Misunderstanding was maybe more of a pure pop song, I think in recent years, Turn It On Again actually has become a more well-known song, or at least more played song. I've seen it more, I've heard it more, even though it's kind of splitting hairs. And like my wife, who she doesn't like Turn It On Again that much, she really loves Misunderstanding, but she only likes the '80s Genesis, anyways. But well, okay, that's interesting to do. I'll have to just going forward have to do this extra little research just to find out. I mean, I could look at more. I could see how some of the like calling all station stuff even did, but it'll be interesting. I mean, and maybe to the point I could do enough research and just start to like write it down. I'm gonna like do screencasts, but I could write it down. It's like this is where they came in. But the problem is it's not spontaneous if I already know these results. Although what I could do is just not look at this. I don't know. I don't know how that would be possible. The spontaneity aspect of these quote unquote react to videos of a top 10 songs list on Spotify might be lost a little bit if I do all this extra research beforehand about looking at what some like the ones I already did with Rush and Dream Theater and Marillion. Some of those songs are on there. I mean, it's just interesting to see the play numbers. Like some of my favorite Genesis songs, only so many they pale, of course, because it still goes back to even though there's been a lot of commentary about the Gabriel Genesis and everything in the last 20 some odd years. When I was growing up, I never even I barely knew who Peter Gabriel was. I knew Genesis better, but like how many streams does Stagnation have? I don't know. I mean, again, it's not a full gauge, but it's interesting to see like some sort of more extensive charts on this stuff. 1.2 million. Yeah, I mean, it's like that's a better question. How many streams of your favorite song by your favorite songs? How many times have they been streamed on Spotify? It's just for curiosity. Fountain of Salmanchus is another song I really love. Or the musical. Did I like the musical box? Fountain of Salmanchus, or even like what's the most streamed song on every album of every band? That would be another interesting little game to play for people that are bored like me. So, but anyway, so that's about it for my reaction to the Genesis Spotify lists. But what's your take on it? I'd love to hear about that. I got a lot of these artists to look up, obviously, to do this with. Some more than others. I'd be more inclined to do it for artists that I'm more almost if not fully versed in their catalog. If I'm doing it for a band like Hawkwind, who I only know like one or two albums, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I could look it up, but it really wouldn't. It wouldn't mean as much to me. But I mean, yeah, if you have any suggestions, I would be at least up for considering doing those as well. So, but again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you next time.